Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and build update number 1 of our MPC 1968 Coronet RT. This kit has impressed me since I opened the box the first time. I am not kidding. There is more detail tucked into this little kit than I have had on quite a few other kits. So I need to eat my hat about talking bad about MPC, because not only is this kit nice and fit so far, everything fits beautifully, but it was so clean that I was able to get to this far in 8 hours, 8 hours work time. So let me move everybody out of the way here. I got a bunch to cover, and I don't want to hold you up too dang long. So we'll start out with the body, I guess. I'm going minimalist with this body. This build is inspired by 446 Pack, who wrote a comment about he had one of these growing up, and it was just a basic plain Jane sleeper. And I thought, that is cool as heck. I went online, I found one, and that's what I want to do with it. He said it was white with a blue interior. So this is my interpretation of a white Coronet with blue interior. Like I said, I painted it white. This is the new Kaleido. This is just right out of their base color set, white. And it went on over top of their Kaleido gray primer. Just because I've never, ever had good luck with white paint. Well, what do you think? I think I've had pretty good luck with white paint. This came out great. There's 2 coats of white over top of 2 coats of the gray primer. 2 1/4 coats, let's say, of primer. I got the first coat on, let it sit, got the second coat on, and as it was sitting, just like every other build I've ever done, I got a piece of lint, and I think it was from my paper towel, because it was like a real fine hair, and you've seen my head. There's no fine hair anywhere there. So it was real tiny, and it went right across the back here. So I wet sanded it out, went over and just kind of primed just that area. Made sure everything looked good, let it dry overnight, good to go. Came in the next day and hit it with a white. And I am really happy with this. I'm not going to use their clear coat varnish on this because I don't want it to be that real deep, bright shine, the wet look. I want this to be a sleeper. So that's where we're going to go with it. On top of the white, after this sat for a few days, I hit it with Tamiya's. Let me dig it out here. I'm not going to dig it out. Yeah, here it is. Tamiya's polishing compound, and all I used is the fine on this. Just to knock any of the fuzz or anything off of it. I didn't spend more than 15 minutes doing the whole body and the hood. And you can see I got just the right amount of shine for what I'm looking for. I could have hit this with a clear coat and made this thing look 10 feet deep and wet, but I didn't want that. So this is where we are. On top of all that, after that sat, dried, and I did the polish, right after I finished the polish, I brush painted the chrome on around the windows, and I don't even know why I went all the way around the windows and everything. What I did is I wanted to try out this new chrome on the door handles, and it went on really nice. So I kept going. I went around the front window. I'm like, all right, well, we'll do the back window. I knocked the back window out, did the side windows, everything while the wife's waiting for me to come up for dinner. Sorry, Terry, about that. All the little markers and everything on there, I knocked them all out, including the turn signals on the top. got them. The little pieces across the back, that little chrome lines. Did all that, and then I let it sit for 72 hours. So, boom, we're at this point right now, and I can rub my finger on this. I can do whatever I want, which is nice. Now I can pick it up and hold it and work on it. And that was the test I wanted to do with this stuff. This is the new Fusion Film Ultra Shine Liquid Silver Foil. I'm going to move this just in case something stupid happens. This is what it comes with, is this, and some really poor instructions. So, I don't know. I went for it. I took this and shook the dog snot out of it and got it to where I know it was mixed. I shook it way longer than I probably had to, but you never can go too far. And when I open up the bottle, the first thing that happened is the brush that's attached to the bottle fell off right smack on my mat that I've been really trying to keep clean. So that's how it started. So right now I'm already thinking, oh, here we go. So I took my tiniest brush and dipped it in there, and I started painting this on the door handle just to see if it would go and spread like crazy, which it didn't do. So I did the door handle, I came down, I did the key, it filled that up, I came over, I did that side, and then I went across the front of this thing, literally with my fist down this way, the brush in here, and this sitting on a rag to bring it up to the right height. And I just went a little bit at a time with that stuff, kept dipping it, and not really saturating the brush, but getting it wet enough to where it'll draw. And I just worked my way around all this trim and let it sit. The RTs went great. The markers went great. I'll show you the back in a second. I want to talk about it too. But the side markers went great. So now all I have to do is hit those with the clear orange and clear red. Everything went down really, really, really fine. So I thought, all right, well, we'll stripe those little stripes in the back. And I did that. Like I said, 72 hours. Like it said in the directions, what little directions it said, I could read 72 hours. So I let it go there. I came back today, messed around with it, was happy with the way everything worked out. So I came and I got my accent, which is, again, don't worry about accent. Just find yourself a real black or a black and go with it. This dries just like that. It goes on real well. So I painted that in between all the lines. Next time, I'm going to paint all that black and then do all in between the lines. It took me way longer than it should have, but it worked out good, and I think it looks all right. Again, I'm going to come back with the clear red and do the RT just like I did on the front bumper and get everything even. Same with the sides. The RTs will get the clear red with the center line being the chrome. And that, I still have to do the chrome ring around the hood, and I'm going to wait for a day that I haven't had 19 cups of coffee to do that. We talked about the battery. I wanted to get this lit. What I ended up doing is in the back here, I glued in these two little batteries on two little pieces of flat evergreen plastic, and then I glued them in place. I also figured out where the chassis was going to sit in here, and I glued blocks in place. Now what that does is that keeps the chassis from going any farther up on the stem. It has these two locators. Well, those two locators, they would go, I'm going to pull the chassis out, they would line up where these two circles used to be on the chassis. So I took my snips and I cut those off flush. So now when the chassis is on there, there'll be just enough room to squeeze my battery pack in between the top part of this and the chassis. So it'll drop in there. I'll probably have to use tweezers and play operation to get that thing out of there. But it's a good hiding spot, and I don't have to cut into anything. You can see I was test fitting stuff. The gas tank was a little bit small for me to to cut out of the way and magnetize and get everything working and looking good and fitting in there without still having to cut something out. Mainly these two posts. So I cut them back, shortened it up, and got it all ready to rock and roll. And there we go. I glued the magnets to the bumper on here, and the bumper will just go on there in its two locating holes. If I can see them without my visor. And boom. Good to go. So that's how I'm cheating this out, is I'll be able to just pull this off, put the pack in there, put a new battery in it, and then this will go right back on, and it'll hold. And how nice does that look? That chrome on the bumper matches that, what's this stuff called again? Fusion Firm. Really well. And I have nothing to do with Fusion Firm. I do have a lot to do with the Kaleido from Gallery. They sent me the stuff out to test, and they told me to be honest. And I'm being honest. I really like this stuff. I almost swore there. Almost had to put money in a jar. But I really like the stuff. So if you hear me bragging about it and you get tired of it, let me know. But as of now, I'm going to keep going with what paints I use, just like I used to do with the Tamiya paints. And don't get me wrong, I'm still brush painting with Tamiya paints and my acrylics and everything else. But now I got some rounds in the chamber for using on my airbrush that's really, 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 really helping me out. Because I wouldn't have painted that white. And honestly, I painted it white not expecting it to come out looking anywhere near this smooth. You know, and thin. Like I said, that's 2 coats thin on there. And enough about the dang body. So let's move on to the engine. Let me bring you down here. There we go. Let's talk about this engine. And I am super impressed with this MPC kit because of the stuff they've added to the mold to just make it just a little bit better. Like the lines going into the transmission on this side. It's just, you know, very nice. My dipstick coming off. Now I know where I got to put the dipstick to run it up top in there. I think that's the dipstick. If it's not, let me know. I'm usually never right, and Mopar isn't one that I've done a whole heck of a lot with anyhow. I painted the block with a mix. I was going to paint it with the Kaleidos. It's called Flame Orange, which was pretty dang close, but not close enough. So I took the Flame Orange in the cup, and I never mix in the cup, but I did this time. I put 3 drops of red in the cup, and look at the difference. That's dead on. My camera might not be showing it just right, but that is dead on Mopar color. So just the 3 drops in the cup from on top of that, and there we go. And it sprayed really nice. I mean, got in there. This is 1 coat over top of everything. I know it looks a little bit different right now than this, and I expected that. I didn't want it bright. This is a driver's car, so I panel lined a little bit of it and got it just a little bit weathered. We painted the 2 vents black, the way they show in a bunch of the pictures I saw. I painted the starter black and highlighted that with just look at the little bolts on that plate with a little bit of the flat aluminum. The oil filter right now is flat aluminum because I want to paint that, and I didn't want that orange to. I didn't want to have to paint it 30 times to get over top of the orange. Fuel pump painted. Now let's talk about these mounts. There's 2 different ways you can build this car. One of them is with the stock exhaust, like what I'm using, and one of them is with the headers. And they make this to where the headers will go on there. And the stock exhaust is like this, where it's got 2 very nice locator pins. But if you look close, the exhaust is just a smidge off. So I thought, all right, well, I'm going to wire this anyhow. And nobody's going to really, when that's down like this, ever be able to see that extra hole, the little side part of the hole. So what I did, and Jim, thank you. What I did is I drilled this hole for the spark plug, this hole for the spark plug, and right on the outside of this hole and that hole, I drilled into those for the spark plug wires. And what that'll do is when the exhaust is on, the spark plug wires will run next to it. I'm running them down, around, and up. Anyhow, same with this side, exactly the same. Spark plug wire, spark plug wire. I put a little bit, like I spilled a little oil on the fill. And then the two holes in here for them to go in. And I think, will just work out really good. The intake looks great. I mean, it looks really good. And then again, I panel lined the whole thing, including the transmission, just to bring out some highlights. But this is as far as I got with the engine. Not as far as I wanted to. I don't even have the plug wires painted yet. I'll be doing that right after the show. So I'm putting this back on so I don't lose it. I still have to paint these. Again, with the engine, it's fantastic detail till you get to the carb. And the carb is kind of lackluster. And I'm like, really, I was bummed out about that until I started thinking, this big honking cover is going to cover that thing up, and you're never going to see it anyhow. It's going to go way up inside there. So I'll draw a spring out this way. I'll pull some linkage cord out that way. Our PCV lines I'll run on there, and I'll get those. This one runs around to this side. This one here will run. No, I'm sorry. This one here will run around to here. This one goes up and into the air cleaner on the side. And then we'll have our master cylinder or our booster come in here. Vacuum lines run. And it'll look like a pretty detailed engine, even though you don't see that carb. So I kind of didn't do a whole lot to the carb. And it is what it is. You know how I love to detail the stuff out. But again, they didn't need to detail that out. What they did do, though, is give me a two-piece, and I never saw this before. That's a two-piece alternator. Now, how cool is that? So I painted it flat aluminum because I had it out with this. I will come back before I do anything else, and we'll do the in between there with copper or gold or something like that to make it show for the wires, and then I'll come back and dry brush that aluminum over the top of it, and then I'll remember to paint this. And now I have that, I think it's called dark iron. Dark iron that I'll use on that, along with the exhaust manifolds. And that'll look really good. Now for where it took me a lot of the time is the interior. And I am jazzed about how this interior is going. And I'm going to just rip it apart because it's just sitting here. This isn't done yet. What I use for this is the Kaleidos Blue Gray. And it's not the base coat. It is on this. But on the doors and the seats, it is not. I base coated all of those, including the dash, because I wanted the dash to match the seats. But I did a base coat of, it's called Sciata or whatever, blue. There, you can figure that one out. Scotia blue? I'm not sure. But this is the base coat. This is the darker blue. And then I came back. I masked things off. And I forgot to paint that. How in the heck did I do that? No, I know what I did. Jeepers, Batman. I'm looking at that thinking, no, I know I taped that. Ta-da! This one's got tape on it too. But I just taped off everything and sprayed it with here it is. the blue-gray. And I like this color. I'm going to do a car this color. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to do a car that color. So I did that. Then I came back and I painted that with chrome silver because I didn't use, this didn't come yet. So I painted everything in here with just Tamiya's chrome silver. And again, chrome silver goes on and it stays on over top of the Kaleido paints. So you can brush paint on over top of them. No problem. The dogs are home. The seats, I masked off the sides. I wanted a darker blue on the top to kind of just go with the flow. And then I hand painted the seat belts and everything. And I did some looking around online. And let me bring in the flying finger. Thanks again, Jim. That buckle's only supposed to have just the front part of it as chrome, from what I saw, and then behind it is the black. And I already had a whole thing painted black before, or chrome before I saw that, so I came back, touched it up when I was doing the back of the car. So those went really nice. I'm not sure if I'm going to hit that with the gray panel liner. I have it out. I'm not sure if I'm going to go over it with that to try to highlight anything, or if I'm just going to leave it like that, because it is showing the detail very well. But there's that. The seats, the back seats, I did the split down the middle with the blue, and then came back with the blue-gray, and then came in and painted the belts, and I love it. It's exactly what I wanted to get out of that. So I'm happy. The chrome, I still have to sand these pieces down to where they look right, because they do show, and then I'll hit them with the fusion firm. I'm never going to get used to that, guys. Panel line this out to give it that aluminum, I guess, look on the inside, and then painted in the middle where the shifter would be black. And where the pernundle goes, I kind of just did a clear blue. There's no reason why I did clear blue except for I wanted to do clear blue in there. So that's kind of like, I don't know what you call artist's choice, maybe. But there's that. And again, everything, test fitting it just fell in. They got nice marks in there for lineups. How many times do you get glue on your front, gluing your seats in? Well, with these, let me get this out of the way so I don't drop it for the 1,000th time. With these, you can put these here, come in and glue them from the back. Get the glue in from the back, let it dry, because this fits down on the chassis. So you could glue bomb the snot out of these seats from the bottom, and nobody's going to ever know. Just saying, not what I'm going to do, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. Same with the back seat. Check it out. It goes right in the holes. Slap it with glue in the back and walk away proud. It's not going to go anywhere. And that way you don't get those marks, trying to line it up on those stupid little mini squares or no squares at all, and just trying to make it fit where it looks right. I am impressed with this kit. Very impressed. Move out of the way, because I want to talk about the dash. I had a flippin' blast with this dash. One thing I did find, looking at a bunch of pictures, and help me out, guys, if you got a picture of it that looks different than this, let me know. But there were 4 switches, or 4 pieces over here, with one of them being, I guess, an idiot light of some kind, because it's red. The radio is where it's supposed to be. This vent, I think, was an option along with these two, because I've seen it with and without, with the black across the top. But everywhere I've seen, this only has 2 switches. So I'm like, whatever. I painted them all, and then I just put an idiot light over there too, just to make it all look good. Now, if you guys have a picture or anything, or you know of somebody that has 4 switches that came stock like that, let me know. Make me feel a little better about it. I haven't quick shine this yet, so that's going to be my next stop is quick shine. Again, the chrome in here is Tamiya's Chrome Silver because the Fusion Firm didn't come in yet. Inside the gauges, we'll use the decals for these two. These four, I am not sure if I'm going to do anything but put a little drop of resin in each one of them and lock it up tight. Because when I dry fitted this in there after I painted everything, it's tilted so far forward and those sit so far back that you wouldn't be able to see anything in there anyhow, so I'm not going to stress over it. And again, I did my green, my clear green on the radio dial, just because I'm a nerd. But that's my dash so far. I'm liking it. I haven't panel lined anything yet, but that darker blue is showing through the blue-gray. So I think I am done doing anything but the gauges in here. Oh, and I wanted to mention the UV resin and DG from my Grandpa Mark's Hobbies group page. I'm pretty sure it was DG that mentioned this. When you're using the UV resin and you're firing up your lights, now mine sits flat on the desk. It's got these, I'm going to back you up. It sits flat on the desk this way. And then you put everything underneath it, and the UV lights are underneath. But a lot of these come with a flashlight and different setups. And DG brought up that when you're using this stuff, get a pair of sunglasses to wear when you fire the UV light up that have a UV 400 rating, because that UV light will toast your eyes. It's not, I mean, it will toast them out. So save your eyes. It's just like wearing a mask when you go over to the spray booth. You know, takes 2 seconds to throw the mask or the glasses on, and 2 seconds to whip them off, and you're back in the saddle. And now I'm done with the more you know. I'm going to pull you back in again. I'm not using the stock rims or the rims. You know, I'm not using the rims that came with the kit because he said his was a sleeper with Steelies and dog dishes. And I just happen to have a pair of Steelies and a pair of dog dishes. So that's what we're going to use. They're going to look good. I painted them white just like everything else. A shot of gray, shot of white over top. And that's going to look good on there. The dog dishes I hit with the gray panel liner. And that's why the gray panel liner was out. But that's where we're going with that. I showed you the chassis. I can back you out again here. Trying not to get you seasick. I showed you the chassis. Since the body's white, I'm going to have inside the engine bay white, so I just got done taping this off because I want to do the bottom of this. This is just sitting in here because I was trying to make sure everything fit. But I want to do the bottom of this in black, and then what I want to do is I'm going to paint this whole thing again with my accent. Just the reason is because I can do it real quick, pow, and I'm done. And I don't have to get the spray gun out. I can use my big stinking flat brush. I can paint that whole thing in about 1.5 minutes with that thinned out a little bit. I'll let it dry overnight. I'll come back. I'll highlight everything with the quick shine to highlight my frame rails and my suspension parts. And then I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to come back with a Kaleido white again. And probably my 0.2 millimeter Mobius. And I'm going to hold this on an angle just like that. And I'm going to come at it with the airbrush like this. And I'm going to just go right down the whole thing and try to get some of that overspray underneath here on both sides. I've seen it on cars that I've, looking at the online where this is black and then you can see the white overspray underneath. And it's not a whole lot, but it's there, and I want to show that, and I'm not sure how much I'm going to do in here with it, but I do want to get that across the bottom and everything and go with that. The wheels, the red lines are going to the inside. We're going to use the just the regular tires with the white, and then the dog dish on there with that white body. That's going to look really cool, and it'll be a nice sleeper. Firewall I haven't done diddly to yet. I still have to look because I'm not sure how, what coloring to do with that. But look at the detail in the firewall. Really nice. I got to drill my hole still for the heater core, but everything else in there looks really good, and I can detail paint the snot out of that and make it look very nice. And I'm talking about detailing, the last thing, and I will pretty much let you go, is my front grille. I panel lined it, and it just didn't look like the pictures I've seen online of the front grille. So I came back with the accent, my black, which is getting low, and I thinned it out pretty good, and I painted the whole thing with that. And I think I'm going to go with it like that. I don't know if I'm going to quick shine it. I want to protect it, but I don't want to because I don't want it to have shine to it. So might just leave it the way it is and just kind of keep my big mitts off of it. I did paint my shifter. I think it has the button in the center, so I left that chrome. If it doesn't, let me know before I glue it on, please. I'll change it. But the RT, all I did was painted the RT with clear red. I'm going to do the same thing on the bodies and a very fine paintbrush. And I think it looks good. And you see the speckles that I'm getting right there in the camera. You can't see that by looking at it. So the camera's really picking up the extra light that's coming through for some reason. Hard to see, maybe on the back. If I can find where I am. I drilled these out. I didn't have my finger for so long I forgot about it. I drilled these out coming in an angle this way on both of them for the lights. I also drilled out for the turn signals on the front. Kind of came in at an angle this way because I'm just going to lay these flat in here. I'm just going to bring the wires just straight in, lay them in there. I'll put the drop of UV resin in there, glue it in with that, and then I'll paint that UV resin, the orange. And that'll be really cool, I think. So those are got all set up for lights too. The back on the body, I'm thinking about building, back to the body. I'm thinking about building little boxes back here, putting the LED coming into the box on the side and lighting the box up so that the back is evenly lit. But we'll see. That's still a ways down the road. But with that, how about if we thank Gallery for everything they've done for the group and for helping me out and getting us all going with some pretty decently priced paint. And decently priced, whatever you get from Gallery, throw Grandpa Mark in the coupon code and you'll get an extra 10% on that. Let's thank our active duty members, our veterans, and our first responders for putting it on the line every single day so we're safe. And the last thing, let's not forget about our first annual Breast Cancer Awareness 24-hour group build. That'll be October 11th, 2025. Myself, Jason Klein from KRD Klein Racing Designs, and Bruce from Bruce's Eclectic World are going to build a kit in 24 hours live on the air. In the description below, there's a GoFundMe link. If you want to leave any donations, that would be really great. If we can hit 2,000 donations before midnight on the 11th, Zach's going to shave this ugly mug, eyebrows, beard, mustache, hair, everything is going to be gone. So let's bring in the donations, and let's help out the American Cancer Society, try to get ahead of all this. And with that, I'm going to let you go. I want to thank each and every one of you for all your support, your kind words, your comments, and everything. You all have a great day and a better tomorrow. And again, thank you very much for watching.